Well, hello viewers, you find me in my favourite place, the woods, with a lovely bike to ride, which today in this video is a brand new 2020 Canyon Grail CF 8.0 Di2. Now I know it's not a brand new bike, it's been out for about 18 months and you've probably read loads of reviews, you might even own this bike. But if you followed me for the last couple of years, you know I've tested a whole bunch of gravel bikes and I've been really keen to get my hands on the bike to see how it performs and to put my opinion on this bike and find out what these handlebars are all about and just see where it fits in this rapidly expanding gravel and adventure bike market and whether it's a bike you should consider if you're in the market for a new bike like this in 2020. But first, let's take it for a spin on this lovely sunny day and see how it performs. It's so rapid on the road, on the trail, on gravel, on dirt. It's just quick everywhere. Wow, the first thing to point out about this bike is it's so quick. It's so fast. The speed of this bike is the most obvious and immediate impression when you get out onto the trail or the road or wherever you like to ride your gravel and adventure bikes. The low weight, about 8.6 kilograms, so size medium. The super stiff carbon frame with that press fit bottom bracket and these handlebars and the fast rolling Schwalbe G1 tyres ensure that's a really rapid bike. Let me go off for a minute and we talk through some more aspects of the performance and handling. So what helps this bike really maintain good speed and stability off-road on mixed terrain surfaces? It's got a longer wheelbase than a road bike, got a slacker head angle than a road bike as well. You've got a bottom bracket that's lower than a cyclocross bike, and those features combine to create a bike that's very stable off-road and at high speed. And it's at high speed where this bike really excels. It's not the most planted bike compared to some other gravel bikes which really lean towards mountain bikes in terms of their geometry for inspiration, but it's definitely more stable than a cyclocross bike. In terms of fit, for me at 5'11", this size medium is absolutely spot on, not had to make any changes. The reach from the saddle to the hoods and the drops is just perfect for me. And when I'm riding this bike in the hoods, which is my favourite position, it feels very similar to an endurance road bike. And I think that's the best parallel for this bike when you're trying to decide where it sits in the whole gravel bike category. It's much closer to an endurance road bike in terms of geometry and fit and how it feels when you're throwing it around corners. Some gravel bikes lean much closer to a mountain bike when it comes to geometry, to slacker, longer reach, shorter stems, which is better if you're doing much more off-road and much more challenging off-road terrain that leans towards mountain bike with rocky descents and very technical features. But if you're doing high-speed, well-groomed kind of dirt roads and gravel tracks and a lot of road, then a bike like this, which leans more towards an endurance road bike, is a natural choice and an easy choice. And if you're new to gravel bikes and you're coming from a road bike background, which many of you are, then the transition in terms of handling and difference is much easier to cope with and to adjust to. In fact, you could easily fit a big slick tyre to this bike, have a second set of wheels, and you could have two bikes in one. You can ride it on the road during the week for club rides, put your gravel tyres on for the weekend when you smash around the woods and doing some gravel events. So you really do have two bikes in one. Now, we do have to talk about these handlebars because they are a defining feature of this bike. A real talking point when this bike launched about a year and a half ago. And it is hard to get away from the looks that they are such a distinctive, unique feature on this bike. You probably know about the details of these handlebars and what they try to achieve, but just in case you missed it, a quick reminder, use my handed banana to point out the key features on these handlebars. The hover handlebars or double-decker handlebars or whatever else you might want to call them. The idea is to try and provide a blend of comfort for dealing with rough terrain, rough tracks, and also maintaining the stiffness you want at the drops and the hoods for when you're sprinting and just putting the power down, so you don't want a floppy handlebar. So a difficult challenge for a designer, and what Canyon has done is separate the handlebar into two parts. You've got the base bar, which is connected or integrated into a stem which sits flush with the top tube of the bike and looks very nice indeed. That is connected to the hoods, and that bar there maintains the stiffness in the drops and the hoods you want when you really put the power down and giving it the full beans, so you get a nice responsive feel. And then to try and provide more comfort, you have this raised elevated top section which is designed to flex between the 2 points at the hoods. And you can actually see it when you're riding along, and I'll probably demonstrate a little bit here. That top section does move up and down a little bit. So when you're riding along a washboard surface and you're on the tops, you can feel a bit more isolation from that rough surface. You get less vibration coming through the front wheel. And it does sort of work. You get a bit more comfort along the tops, and you get the stiff, responsive feel you want in the hoods and the drops. One interesting side benefit of this base bar is when you're in the drops, you can hook your thumbs around the base bar and just gives you a more secure, connected feel to the handlebars, and that's quite useful actually on very steep, loose descents when you're bouncing around and traction is at a premium. So comfort on the top, stiffness on the bottom. In theory, yes, it works. In practice, not so much. The downside is when you're on the top section, your hands are miles away from the hoods, which is where they want to be for changing gears and operating the brakes. And when you're on loose, unpredictable terrain, you want to be close to the brakes because you might have to adjust your speed suddenly, or you might just want to change gears so you can get up to speed more quickly. And when you're in the tops, you can't do that. And personally, I prefer to be in the hoods, especially the new Di2 GRX hoods, which are lovely in the hand, got a nice ergonomic feel, got a raised top section, so you're more secure, brake lever shaped for easier reach. So you don't get the benefits of the comfort when you're in the hoods, because at the hoods and in the drops, the handlebar is actually quite stiff. Not overly stiff, but it's not as compliant as, say, the Envy gravel handlebar I tested last year, and a couple of other gravel bars, which are surprisingly compliant when you're in the drops without feeling kind of flexy and wobbly and horrible. So yeah, it sort of works, but out on the trail, I found the effect is mitigated by the fact you're in the hoods a lot of time and you're not getting the comfort benefits of the tops. The other downside to this handlebar is you can't easily fit accessories like computers and lights and GPS devices to the front or a bar bag because you've got this ovalized aero profile which won't be compatible with many existing devices. You can, however, fit a bracket to the underneath of the base bar and put a out front mount for computers and other compatible devices, but key word is compatible because you might have to invest in new parts to make sure your computers and lights do work. It's all very well having comfort from the handlebar, but you also need something at the back to make sure the bike is balanced so you don't have a real harsh back end and a soft front end, and nobody wants that. So Canyon has used the VCLS 2.0 split seat post, which you've probably seen on other bikes. They use it on the Endurace endurance bike. And it's a good design. It's been around for a few years and it works very well. And basically it's a seat post that's been split down the middle, and there's a bolt at the bottom that connects them and allows the two halves to increase the range of deflection or flex that the saddle can move back and forth. And it does work extremely well. Every bike I've ridden from Canyon with a seat post always offers extremely good seated comfort. In fact, when you're riding along and you look down between your legs, you can see the nose of the saddle moving back and forth. That small amount of flex is just enough to take the edge off when you're riding over rough surfaces and rocks and roots and other impacts that normally jolt you from going up through the wheel, frame, seat post, saddle and into your arse, and it just takes the edge off the impacts. And it does work with a handlebar to an extent to create quite a balanced feel front to back. What this Canyon definitely is great value for money. As you know, Canyon is a direct sales brand. You buy the bike over the internet and it arrives in a box, and that business model of not having a bike shop or a dealer network means they pass savings onto you, the consumer, and you get a lot more equipment, a lot more bang for your buck. And this bike is a great example of that. So this bike costs £3,149. It's got a full carbon frame. It's the SL, which is important to note because the SLX, which is a higher end model in the range, uses a posher grade of carbon fibre basically, and the frame weight is a bit lighter. I think it's about 850 grams for the SLX versus 1,000 and something grams for the SL, so a couple of 100 grams, which if you've got deep pockets or you just want the lightest option, then the SLX is the better choice. But for most people, I think the SL will be just perfect and you won't notice a weight difference at all, and you probably won't notice the ride difference between the SL and the SLX. So this bike, just over £3,000. You get Shimano's latest GRX Di2 800 group set. This is a range topping group set in the new Gravel Pacific GRX lineup. So electronic shifting, hydraulic disc brakes, and you get all the same reliability and performance you expect and love from Shimano, but the important thing to note is you get much lower gears. So chain set on a bike is a 48-31, and that just means you've got lower gears when you're going up very steep off-road climbs, and climbs off-road tend to be steeper than on the road, and you usually have a tricky surfaces to contend with where traction is at a much lower level than on the road, so you need lower gears. And at the back we have an 11-34. Now there's pros and cons to 1x versus 2x. Personally, I tend to sit in the 1x camp. I like the simplicity of a 1x, but for the intentions of this bike, which is all about going fast on any terrain, mostly kind of smoother, well-groomed gravel tracks and dirt tracks, and on the road, the 2x does offer a benefit. You've got wide range, you've got nice close steps between the gears on the back, so you maintain the optimum cadence at all times. And with the performance of Di2 from that front mech, shifting is excellent as well, so it's hard to fault it. The new GRX hoods are a personal favourite, and actually I think they're nicer than the road going versions that they're based on. Got a taller knobbin to hook your hands into, you've got nicer, broader, better shaped brake levers for hooking your fingers around, easier, shorter reach as well, just much more ergonomic. And you've got hydraulic disc brakes as well, with a 160 rotor on the back and 140 on the back, plenty of power, loads of modulation, easy to control. One finger braking is absolutely amazing in all conditions as well, so yeah, excellent control when you need to scrub off speed in a hurry. You see a lot of DT Swiss wheels in the Canyon range if you look through the website, and that's no bad thing. They've got a good reputation for reliable, well-made, durable wheels. These are the new, well, fairly new G1800 gravel wheels, so new gravel lineup. I think I've got 3 wheel sets, 2 aluminium and 1 carbon. These are aluminium, nice wide, fairly shallow, rounded profile, easy tubeless. You've got nice, reliable hubs, easier service, no problems at all. It's a good, solid set of wheels, reasonably light as well, and they are fitted with the excellent Schwalbe G1 Bite tyres. They are 40mm wide, 700 wheels, and they're a good choice, really popular choice for the last few years. You've got a dimpled profile. The Bite is a slightly more aggressive version of the Speed, which is a lower profile version, and these are good for more off-road terrain, which a bike is aimed at. But they're still very fast on the road. There's very little noise when you're riding on the road, none of that buzz or whir you get from some bigger tread tyres. And there's plenty of traction in drier to intermediate conditions. They're not the best in the mud. We've had some quite muddy months here in the UK when I've been riding this bike, and in very deep, gloopy Land Rover track mud, they do struggle. You can keep them turning if you're good with weight balance and gentle on the pedals, but for really muddy trails you might want to consider a different tyre. But for most riding they're pretty good really, and they look pretty splendid with the tan sidewall, which I think looks really good with the blue and black paint job on a bike. For people who want a adventure bike packing, more off-road leaning gravel bike, it's probably not the best choice. You're limited to a 42mm wide tyre, so if you want a bigger tyre gravel bike, then something like a Mason Boker, Fairlight Seacan, or the open wide would be better choices for fitting really big, even mountain bike tyres. And there's no mention of 650B compatibility with this bike as well, so it really is a fairly limited bike in terms of its appeal to a wider range of uses, very much at the racing performance end of the spectrum. So if you want to go bike packing, adventure riding, muck around in the woods, then I think something like the open wide or the Mason Boker would be better choices. You can fit bigger tyres, you've got more relaxed handling that can be better in the twists and turns. This bike is not as versatile as some bikes either, but that said, you can fit mudguards. There are mudguard eyelets on the inside of the rear stays and the forks, so you can fit mudguards, but there are only 2 bottle mounts and you can't easily fit accessories or bio bags to handlebars, so you're limited to a frame pack and seat pack as well. But for single day events and racing and stuff, yeah, be absolutely spot on. You wouldn't be disappointed at all. I think there's a lot to like here if you like going fast and you want a high performance, high speed gravel bike for a lot of road and a lot of well-maintained dirt and gravel tracks, and you want to do some racing or big events like Dirty Reaver or Dirty Kansas perhaps, and you want to just go as fast as possible, and you want a bike that has a similar fit and geometry to an endurance road bike, So swapping between two bikes, an endurance road bike and a gravel bike, is fairly seamless. And handlebar aside, the rest of the bike looks absolutely fantastic. I love the blue and black finish. I think it looks really sharp, and you could easily colour match it with a jacket. I haven't done a very good job today, apologies, but you could easily wear a blue jacket and you look pretty good with this bike. And then you've got this design language from Canyon, which is all very kind of purposeful shapes and lines. There's no unnecessary curves or shapes where they don't need to be. It's all very purpose driven. Got very flat sided tube profiles on the top tube, down tube, very clean, very, I don't want to say it, but very German looking. But it's not an ugly bike, it's a fast looking bike. And I've had the bike for quite a few months now, and that handlebar has grown on me. And I mean, I've got an open mind to testing bikes and new bikes, and I didn't write it off. I had an open mind when I tested it, when it arrived, and I have grown to like the appearance of the handlebar. And the thing is, when you're riding a bike, unless you look down, which you shouldn't do because you should be looking where you're going, you don't really notice it. You've got your hands on the hoods, feels really good. Put them in drops, still feels good. On the tops, feels good. And you don't notice the handlebar at all, apart from when you get off your bike at the cafe. I think Canyon should be applauded for taking this handlebar from initial sketch idea to final production and putting it on sale and putting it out there, and dealing with all the naysayers and haters out there on the internet saying it looks ugly and rubbish and stuff. So yeah, well done Canyon. I applaud your bravery, your commitment to this distinctive, innovative design. So I've been riding a bike for the last couple of months, and it's been a really interesting experience. It's one of the faster gravel adventure bikes I've yet tested, and definitely up there with the likes of the Cervelo Espero, another very fast, rapid gravel race bike. There's a lot to like here. You get good value for money, really good equipment. You get Shimano's new GRX 800 Di2 group set, which is flawless. Fast rolling tyres, nice wheels. Get a nice looking frame. I love the blue and black, lightweight, stiff, and even the handlebar has almost won me over after several months of testing. But I love to see a regular, normal handlebar and stem offered in this range. I think it'd be really interesting to see how the bike would look and perform with a normal handlebar and stem setup. I think they probably increase their sales a bit if they offer that as an option and kept this one for people who want this funky handlebar and stem setup. But that is my review of the Canyon Grail CF SL 8.0 Di2. Let me know what you think of this bike, and if you've got any questions about this bike or anything on it, do put them in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you own this bike or one like it, because it's been out for a while and I have seen a few around, I'd love to hear from you. Got any thoughts or issues with durability, long-term feedback, I'd love to hear from you, so get down below. But that's enough waffling. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and give me a big thumbs up. And if you really enjoyed it, maybe subscribe to my channel. Loads more tech, loads more bike reviews coming up in the next few weeks, loads of exciting stuff in the pipeline. So make sure if you want bike tech stuff, you stick around. But that really is it for now. I'm going for a ride. I'll see you all again next time. Take it easy.